I always feel like misunderstood. I never make my choices based off what people think.
Any point where you say you were maybe like thinking about giving up?
Hell yeah. When Ajax kicked me out, I wanted to stop football.
Quincy Promes lit up stadiums with his talent, but behind the roar of the crowd, a darker empire was rising. This is not rumor, not speculation, it's the shocking truth. From football star to convicted drug trafficker, today we expose the chilling double life of a man who traded trophies for crime. Chapter 1, The Boy from Every Corner of Amsterdam. He was born in Amsterdam on January 4th, 1992, Quincy Anton Promes, son of Surinamese parents who had built a new life in Holland. But his childhood wasn't rooted in any single neighborhood. West Amsterdam, Osdorp, Oost, Zuid, even stretches of Noord, the Promes family moved through the city's districts like nomads, and each corner taught him something different about survival. Amsterdam shaped him in ways most people don't understand. The city's football culture runs deeper than blood. Every concrete courtyard has kids dreaming of Ajax glory. Every street corner has stories of players who made it out and others who never escaped. Football became his direction, his purpose, his obsession. His first organized club was RKSV DCG, a grassroots team in Amsterdam West where raw talent mattered more than fancy boots or perfect pitches. By age 10, that raw talent caught the attention of scouts from Ajax's legendary youth academy, De Toekomst, literally the future. For any Amsterdam boy, this was everything. Ajax isn't just a club, it's a religion. Their academy had produced Johan Cruyff, Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp. Walking through those gates meant joining football royalty. But destiny has a cruel sense of timing. At 16, when most prospects are getting their first taste of professional football, Ajax shattered his world. They released him, citing behavioral issues rather than lack of talent. The official reason was vague, but whispers suggested attitude problems, conflicts with coaches, an inability to follow structure. Promes later described it as the worst day of my career. My world collapsed. For a teenager raised on Ajax dreams, rejection from De Toekomst wasn't just career disappointment, it was identity destruction. Everything he thought he was, everything he'd worked toward, gone in a single conversation. His mother became his lifeline. When he wanted to quit football entirely, she convinced him to keep fighting. That conversation saved his career, but it also set him on a path that would eventually lead to his destruction.
Damn failure, you know?
Yeah.
That's how Amsterdam is. Like, not many people where I'm from made it out too. Like, it's very hard to make it out where I'm from. So, no, I really was done with football, bro. Because I couldn't place why they would kick me out. How you explain me why you kick me out? But my mother teach me, keep your head high. Even all the years before that I passed to the next team, she always told me, be ready for one moment that they can kick you out. And I always had that in the back of my head. And the day came and we left with our head high. Like, all right. And then in the car, when nobody saw, I was breaking down like, damn, I'm not playing for Ajax anymore. How is this possible? My life is finished. I stopped football.
He found refuge at HFC Haarlem, a smaller club with fewer resources but more patience for difficult personalities. At Haarlem, Promes began rebuilding not just his skills but his confidence. The chip on his shoulder from Ajax's rejection became fuel for his fire. In 2009, he moved to FC 20's academy, still hungry to prove Ajax wrong. By early 2011, he had signed his first professional contract. The badge was different, but the hunger remained and maybe even intensified. The breakthrough that changed everything came in 2012 with a loan move to Go Ahead Eagles in the Dutch second tier. The coach was Erik ten Hag, a demanding tactician who would later manage Manchester United. Ten Hag saw something special in Promes. Raw talent combined with street-smart intelligence and an almost desperate desire to succeed. Under Ten Hag's structured system, Promes exploded, 13 goals in 32 games, helping Go Ahead win promotion to the Eredivisie after 17 years in the second division. That season was transformative not just for the club, but for Promes personally. He'd found a coach who could channel his aggression into productivity. Back at 20 the following season, Promes hit his stride in the top flight. He was scoring regularly, creating chances, making defenders look foolish with his pace and skill. Scouts across Europe started taking notes. The kid Ajax had thrown away was becoming impossible to ignore. In summer 2014, Spartak Moscow made their move, signing him for millions. For someone once discarded by his hometown club, it was vindication on a massive scale. In Russia, he didn't just succeed, he dominated. 66 goals in 135 games, a league title in 2017, the award of Russian Footballer of the Year. But even during his meteoric rise, shadows were gathering. Dutch investigative journalists would later report that police had been monitoring Promes' social circles for years. Criminal friends were never far away, one report noted. The same Amsterdam streets that had made him tough had also introduced him to people who lived outside the law. In 2019, when Ajax management was allegedly warned about these associations during negotiations for his return, they chose to ignore the red flags. The prodigal son was coming home, and sporting success trumped security concerns. His return to Ajax should have been pure redemption. He scored crucial goals in European competition, terrorized defenders with his pace, and reminded everyone why he'd been special even as a teenager. To fans, he was the local boy made good. To his old coaches, proof that talent eventually finds its way. But underneath the celebrations, law enforcement was watching. The boy who had learned to survive in every corner of Amsterdam had never truly left those corners behind. The connections he'd made, the loyalty he felt, the street code he'd grown up with, none of that disappeared when he became famous. By 2019, Quincy Promes was at the peak of his powers. 50 caps for the Netherlands, goals in Spain, Russia, and Holland. A success story that inspired kids across Amsterdam to keep fighting after rejection. What nobody knew was that his greatest success and his greatest downfall were happening simultaneously. While he lit up stadiums across Europe, another version of Quincy Promes was building an empire in the shadows. Chapter 2, The Knife That Changed Everything. December 27, 2020. While families across the Netherlands celebrated the holidays, police responded to a domestic violence call that would destroy one of Dutch football's most celebrated careers. The details that emerged were shocking. Quincy Promes had allegedly stabbed his own cousin with a knife, causing permanent injury. This wasn't some bar fight or random street altercation. This was family violence, intimate and brutal. The weapon wasn't a football, it was a blade. The victim wasn't a rival player or angry fan. It was someone who shared his blood, someone who had probably watched him grow up, cheered his goals, celebrated his success. His lawyer immediately went into damage control mode, calling it a tragic family dispute and claiming Promes deeply regrets the incident. But regret doesn't undo permanent injury. Regret doesn't erase the image of a football hero holding a knife instead of a ball. The Netherlands was divided in shock. How does someone with precision and control on the pitch lose all restraint off it? How does an athlete who makes split-second decisions under pressure make such a catastrophically wrong choice in his personal life? Ajax's response was swift and decisive. In January 2021, they suspended him indefinitely. His contract was frozen. The club's social media went dark on their once celebrated star. For fans who had welcomed him back as a hero, it felt like watching someone die in real time. But what nobody realized, not the fans, not the media, not even Ajax management, was that the stabbing was just the surface of something far more sinister. While investigators processed the knife attack, they uncovered evidence of activities that made family violence look like a minor offense. The deeper police dug into Promes' life, the more disturbing the picture became. Phone records, financial transactions, surveillance footage, witness statements, everything pointed to a double life that defied belief. Because while Quincy Promes was scoring goals and earning millions as a professional athlete, he was also allegedly running one of the largest cocaine trafficking operations in Dutch history. Chapter 3, The Cocaine Empire.
I don't believe in friendships. I see friendships, I see that as a thing that's called life, and even life ends. So when I call somebody my friend, I know one day it will end. That's why I call all my friends brothers, because a brother you have for life. Them failure,
Yeah.
That's how Amsterdam is. Not many people where I'm from made it out too. It's very hard to make it out where I'm from. So no, I really was done with football, bro. Because I couldn't place why they would kick me out. How you explain me why you kick me out? But my mother teach me, keep your head high. Even all the years before that I passed to the next team, she always told me, be ready for one moment that they can kick you out. And I always had that in the back of my head. And the day came and we left with our head high. Like, all right. And then in the car, when nobody saw, I was breaking down like, damn, I'm not playing for Ajax anymore. How is this possible? My life is finished. I stopped football.
February 14th, 2024. Valentine's Day became Judgment Day when a Dutch court sentenced Quincy Promes to 6 years in prison. But it wasn't for the knife attack that first brought him to police attention. It was for something far more serious, trafficking 1.3 tons of cocaine. Let me put that number in perspective. 1.3 tons is 1/300 kilograms. That's roughly the weight of a small car filled entirely with one of the world's most valuable and dangerous drugs. Street value? Tens of millions of euros. The court's language was devastating. Judge after judge described Promes as someone who actively ran a criminal enterprise. This wasn't a footballer who got caught with personal use drugs. This wasn't someone who made friends with the wrong people. This was an alleged drug lord who happened to play professional football. The operation was sophisticated beyond belief. Multiple shipments from South America using established smuggling routes. Hermes couriers moving packages across international borders. Complex financial networks to launder millions in profits. Coordination with criminal organizations across multiple countries. While fans were watching him score goals on television, Promes was allegedly orchestrating logistics that would make legitimate businessmen envious. The same strategic thinking that made him dangerous in the penalty box apparently made him effective at international drug trafficking. But how does someone go from rejected teenager to professional athlete to drug kingpin? The answer lies in those Amsterdam streets where he learned to survive, and the connections that fame and fortune couldn't erase. Investigators believe the operation had been running for years, possibly even during his time at Ajax. The timeline suggests that some of his most celebrated sporting achievements happened while he was simultaneously building one of Europe's most successful cocaine smuggling networks. The contradiction is staggering. By day, he was a role model for young athletes. By night, he was flooding communities with poison. Children wore his jersey to school, while their neighborhoods were being destroyed by the drugs he allegedly supplied. Dutch prosecutors painted a picture of a man living in two completely separate worlds. In one world, he was Quincy Promes, the footballer, disciplined, focused, professional. In the other, he was a criminal mastermind coordinating international drug shipments with the same precision he used to coordinate attacking moves. The evidence was overwhelming. Phone intercepts, financial records, witness testimony, surveillance footage. The case wasn't built on speculation or circumstantial evidence. It was built on years of meticulous police work that documented every aspect of the alleged operation. But here's where the story takes another shocking turn. When conviction became inevitable, when the walls were finally closing in, Quincy Promes made one last calculated move that would keep him free for years. Chapter 4: The Fugitive Footballer. Faced with mounting criminal charges and inevitable prison time, Quincy Promes made perhaps the most audacious decision of his career. In 2021, he signed with Spartak Moscow, not just to continue his football career, but to escape Dutch justice. Russia has no extradition treaty with the Netherlands. That simple legal fact meant Promes could live, work, and play football while remaining completely beyond the reach of Dutch law enforcement. The situation was surreal beyond imagination. In Amsterdam, he was a wanted criminal facing serious prison time. In Moscow, he was a returning hero welcomed back by thousands of fans who didn't care about his legal troubles. Every week, he would run onto the pitch in front of 50,000 cheering supporters, while Dutch prosecutors were building cases against him. Every goal he scored was celebrated while his alleged victims waited for justice. Every interview he gave was broadcast while police evidence gathered dust in filing cabinets. The contrast couldn't have been more stark. Russian sports media treated him like royalty. Dutch crime reporters treated him like a most wanted fugitive. Both were telling the truth from their perspective, and Promes thrived in this impossible situation. By 2023, he had become Spartak's all-time leading foreign goal scorer, surpassing records that had stood for decades. He captained games, scored crucial goals, and lifted trophies while technically being a fugitive from justice. Social media told the story of a man who believed he was untouchable. Expensive cars, luxury apartments, designer clothes, exotic vacations. He was living lavishly, while victims of his alleged crimes struggled with the consequences of his actions. The message seemed clear. If you're talented enough, famous enough, or wealthy enough, you can escape consequences for your actions. Justice was something that happened to other people, not international football stars with connections in high places. But Promes made a critical error in judgment. He assumed that Russian protection would last forever, that international politics would always work in his favor, that his sporting value would outweigh his criminal liability. He was wrong. Chapter 5: The Walls Close In. By 2025, even Russia wasn't safe enough for Quincy Promes. International pressure was mounting. Dutch authorities were working through diplomatic channels. The net was tightening in ways he hadn't anticipated. So he made another move, this time to Dubai, a city known for attracting wealthy individuals who prefer privacy and discretion. Dubai had become a playground for international athletes, business moguls, and others who valued luxury living with minimal questions asked. But Dubai also had something Russia lacked: extradition agreements with Western European countries, including the Netherlands. June 2025. After years of living as a fugitive footballer, after becoming one of the most wanted men in Dutch criminal history, after believing he had successfully escaped consequences for his alleged crimes, Quincy Promes' luck finally ran out. Emirati authorities, acting on an international warrant, arrested him in Dubai. The arrest was swift, professional, and final. No dramatic chase scenes, no last-minute escapes, just handcuffs and a one-way ticket back to face Dutch justice. The extradition process was surprisingly quick. Within days, he was on a plane back to Amsterdam, not as a returning hero, not as a celebrated athlete, but as a convicted criminal finally being brought to account. Airport footage showed a man who looked nothing like the confident goalscorer who had dominated Russian football. This was someone who finally understood that talent, fame, and money couldn't protect him from the consequences of his choices. Chapter 6: The Reckoning. Today, Quincy Promes sits in a Dutch prison cell, serving a 6-year sentence for drug trafficking while facing additional charges for assault. His football career is over, his reputation is destroyed, his legacy is written in court documents rather than record books. The financial reckoning has been severe. Authorities seized 9 properties, luxury vehicles, and millions in assets connected to his alleged criminal activities. The lifestyle that once seemed untouchable has been stripped away piece by piece, but the real cost extends far beyond one man's fall from grace. Ajax faced serious questions about their decision to ignore police warnings in 2019. How could they sign a player while knowing about his alleged criminal associations? What does that say about the club's values and priorities? Spartak Moscow's moral position was even more questionable. They knowingly harbored a fugitive criminal for years, allowing him to play football while evading justice. Their silence during his legal troubles spoke volumes about their priorities. The broader football world was forced to confront uncomfortable truths about the sport's relationship with criminal behavior. How many other players have similar secret lives? How many clubs choose willful ignorance when talented players come with concerning backgrounds? For the victims of his alleged crimes, justice came slowly but definitively. The family member permanently injured in the knife attack finally saw their attacker held accountable. Communities poisoned by cocaine trafficking finally saw one supplier removed from the streets. Chapter 7: The Aftermath. Today, Quincy Promes sits in a Dutch prison cell, serving 6 years for drug trafficking. At 33, his football career is over. The boy who once dreamed of Ajax glory is now defined by cocaine shipments and knife attacks. Authorities seized 9 properties, luxury vehicles, and millions in assets. A lifestyle built on illegal profits was systematically dismantled. His official statistics remain impressive: 66 goals for Spartak Moscow, 50 caps for the Netherlands. But those numbers now exist alongside different figures: 1.3 tons of cocaine, 6 years in prison, 1 family member permanently injured. Ajax faced scrutiny for ignoring police warnings in 2019. Spartak Moscow was exposed for harboring a fugitive while he broke goal-scoring records. Both clubs prioritized sporting success over criminal concerns. For the victims, justice finally arrived. The stabbed family member saw accountability, though physical and emotional scars remain permanent. Communities affected by drug trafficking saw one supplier removed, but the damage endures. Prison reports indicate Promes has been a model inmate, participating in programs and maintaining fitness routines. His family now visits him behind bars instead of celebrating goals in stadiums. The football world moves on without him. Ajax develops new talents, Spartak finds new goal scorers, and the Netherlands builds toward future tournaments. Life continues while Quincy Promes serves his sentence. What remains is a complex legacy, remarkable athletic achievement overshadowed by serious criminal behavior. From rejected teenager to international star to convicted criminal, one of football's most dramatic falls from grace. What do you think about this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive compelling, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more true crime content from the world of sports.